This is Doug, and welcome to the Practicing Accountant Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. We have a topic today of why saying no can get you more clients. Doesn't quite seem to make sense, but I'll give you a hint. It has a lot to do with niching, and we hope you enjoy this episode. You got some news.
I do. It's a girl.
It's a girl.
Holy shit. It's another one. I'm destined for girls. I swear.
No, it sounds like you're destined for three is what it sounds like.
No. We had the talk and I think we're done, but there's this sort of amnesia when it comes to kiddos. You forget how hard pregnancy was, how hard infancy was, how hard toddlerhood is. And I know for a fact that grandparents especially have that because they are just like, well, just take them with you. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's not.
Well, what nature is going to do to you, this is my prediction. My prediction is that girl number two is going to be a lot easier than girl number one.
Hopefully.
Going to sleep better, transition better, all the things that have been probably harder in round one will be easier in round two, which will then plant the seed of, oh, it's not so bad.
That's I see what you're doing. Yeah.
I could just go ahead and have another one of these. It's not so bad. Yeah. My wife and I think we decided 3 times or 4 times whether we were going to have a third decision, and we'd be settled on it, and then we'd sit on it for a while, and then something would happen, and maybe we should, and then we'd, like go through it all over again, and then we'd wait a little while and then do it again. But we waited, well, I don't know. I think we probably were a few years out from the birth of our daughter before we finally decided we weren't going to continue having children. It's a big decision, and I've been at the clinic more times than I've gotten fixed. Let's put it that way. Like, I've been in there, like, let's do this, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, we're not ready. Then I got to pay the doctor fee, and
oh yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one thing though, with girls, and as you are somewhat learning and will continue to learn, they are loud. I went to a concert on Tuesday night from a woman by the name of Olivia Rodrigo, and this is at Ball Arena, and this place is packed, and it's mostly girls, and I don't think I've ever been in that arena and it be that loud. Like, it was ear shattering, the screaming and the craziness, the bedlam that was going on in this place.
Is that like a young girl superstar?
It's kind of like a meaner Taylor Swift.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, a little bit more punk and funk.
A lot of 14 to 16-year-olds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there's all ages, but it was loud. Man, I had no idea. I'd never seen that. I wanted to say that this is crazy. So yesterday in our group, you had put out a post on what could go wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
and I had responded about ghosting and about, how it's frustrating when you set up a meeting or you have a session with someone or coffee with someone and they don't show up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the truth being told, I had just gotten ghosted, prior to that post. So that's why it was on my mind. And anytime I get ghosted, and I actually got ghosted today again, but it was only like a 20-minute call, so it's not a big deal. But anytime I get ghosted, I have a process. And the process goes like this. I send them an email and I say, hey, first and foremost, I hope you're well.
Yeah.
Second, we had some time scheduled today. Sorry we couldn't connect, and let me know if you'd like to reschedule. And then, if I do or don't get a response from that, whatever. Well, the session yesterday that I got ghosted on, I sent that exact same email to this individual, and I didn't hear anything back last night or any time today. And I sent another email today to this individual and had not gotten a response. Now, here's where it gets sad. I got a call from his boss. And he had a stroke last week and he passed away.
Oh my gosh.
No, my worst case scenario. And, and this guy was 40 years old. Um, he was call him a small company CFO. Um, and he just no one could see anything wrong. No one had any idea. And then last week after work, I guess he just
Man,
had a stroke, and it was
wow.
too massive to come back from, and they tried to operate and do surgery, and they just couldn't do anything. So,
Wow.
but anyway, the thing in my mind is, first of all, that's horrible and sad and terrible news, and not to bring this conversation down, but just in the back of my head, every time I get ghosted, I always give that grace of, perhaps something happened. Now, I never hope it's as drastic as this
Right.
situation was, but I understand life happens and things go on, and
Yep.
and so it really reaffirmed kind of, it's good to give that grace, and it's good not to get caught up in being angry about those types of things, and to move on.
Sure. Sure. Wow.
So you
Wow.
found out you're having a girl, and I found out a client passed away. So we both had
Rough.
big days. Yours is a lot
Yeah.
better than mine.
Yeah. Little up and down there.
Yeah,
We
right?
we'll even each other out, I suppose.
Okay, let's go with that. So we had a topic today, I believe, and it is why saying no more often can actually get you more clients.
Hmm.
Right?
Interesting.
Doesn't quite make sense, does it? It's by saying no more often you can actually get more clients. So what would that how would that work? Like, you got any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, if you it comes down to niching in my head. Love talking about niching. If you are saying no to the wrong, you can spend your time getting more right.
Mm-hmm.
And those people will start flowing in, and you can spend your time more intentionally on getting the clients. And I think there's a caveat there that it's not one is short term gain, one is long term gain.
Mm.
Um, I think the short term gain is to say yes, and you'll get these clients, but it's going to hurt you in the long run. If you say no more often, you'll set yourself up. It's the what is that? When you like delayed gratification type of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
So if you can delay that a little bit and say no, then you'll say yes to the right things.
Yeah. Well, I think first and foremost, I think we need to put context around this. So when you're first starting out as an entrepreneur or in any business in accounting, bookkeeping or tax prep or virtual CFOing or whatever, by no way would I recommend you say no to anything.
Sure.
I'm going to tell you from day one, you say yes to anything that shows up. If it'll keep you in this business and put food on the table and support your family, you take whatever work you can get. Now, if you happen to be rich and have one hell of a long runway that you can use to build your business, then I would also say, hey, maybe you don't have to take everything. You can take your time. But if you're like me when I started, I mean, I was hungry for anything that had a pulse and was willing to work with me and had money, and I would take them on as a client. And it wasn't until later in my entrepreneurial career that I was actually able to get to a point of saying, we're not the right fit. Or you're not what I'm looking for. Or no, thank you. So context is important here. And so in speaking to those who are just starting out in their businesses and who do need to put food on the table, then this isn't necessarily the advice you want to take right now.
The advice should be to stop that as soon as you can.
Right. To get there. Right. To get to a point where you now have the ability to bring in the clients that you want.
Yep.
And then you're going to have to get rid of some of the ones you don't to make room for
Yep.
the ones you do.
You
And then you
use
get to a
those
point.
use those to subsidize the clients that you want,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
essentially.
totally. Totally. Yeah. That's a good word for it. It is. It's subsidizing the vision of your firm and getting to where you want to with your business.
Mm-hmm.
So context is important. For early stage hungry businesses, you should be saying yes to as much as you can get your hands on to keep you going. But to your point, the context in longer term sense is that you should be saying no so you can get more of what you want. And by knowing what to say no to, the things that you should be saying yes to are going to start becoming more available. And as you become an expert and as you start to be seen as someone who really knows a niche, then they'll start coming to you without as much of your own effort.
Oh yeah.
And you're going to have to
Yep.
say no more often because there's still going to be ones coming that you don't want. But those ones you do are going to start coming to you and create more opportunities in your business by working with them. So how does that work? So if I said no to a construction client when what I'm trying to get is a hospital or a nonprofit or something like that, like what it's doing is it's creating space for that type of client that I want. It's creating clarity in my marketing and in my branding so people know what it is I do and what I don't do. It's going to get me to a point where those clients are coming and seeking me out more than I can handle. You know what it is? So I'll share a personal story. So marketing, um, when you're out there marketing as whatever you are, a nonprofit um, accountant, and you've got branding out there, you've got ads, you've got maybe a LinkedIn profile, you've got a website, all of which speak to your nonprofit experience. And if you then went out and set up like a Calendly account and said, all right, if you want to work with me and you fit this profile, come see me. You're going to get full quicker because people are going to be seeking you out, looking you up, finding you based on that niche, based on that marketing. And then they're going to have that invite to come into your business. And next thing you know, you're going to have a wait list of however many people long of folks that want to work with you that have found you through you saying no to work you don't want to do. By you focusing on your niche, focusing on what's important to you in your business and what you're trying to grow it into. And I actually today I went out and looked, in my work, I have to look for therapists a lot because not for me, although every once in a while it does help.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of my clients have stuff that I just can't touch. It's just stuff I'm not qualified to work on. So therapists are important to me. And I went out and looked at a couple of therapists today, all of which are very specialized. Like, there's some that work just with accounting and finance, just like there's
Wow.
a coach. There's some that work with, just families or just kids or just whatever.
Right.
Anyway, I went to their website and I went on there to try to book an appointment or to see their availability for my client. And there's no freaking availability. I mean, they're booked till like December, a few
Shocking.
of them. Right? In this day and age, I guess that's not a surprise, but still, it was just shocking to me that, they have like no availability on their websites or their Calendlies or whatever to book with them because they've dove it into that niche that they want and it's clear and it's communicated and people know how to find them and people know want to use them. And so they line up and they wait till December to get in to meet with them. But that ability to say no is freeing them up to really focus on the niche and the service and the expertise, which draws those clients in. So what are the things that you'd have to do to get to that point where saying no can actually get you more clients?
Let me back up for a second. So, that therapist, you could assume that they charge a lot more than the generalist therapist. I bet they do. When supply goes down, price goes up, right? So they have some more pricing power. And so this might become more of a conversation of revenue versus profit. When you say yes to everything, you're chasing revenue. And that's great when you're first starting out. But the whole goal is profit, right? That's like why you started this business. To profit. That's what you live off of. Revenue doesn't mean shit if you're not profitable. So niching allows you to be more profitable and with less clients. And that's kind of why we're here, to help get to do that. But
well, maybe we can even change the hook here, and it's why saying no more often can actually get you more profit, right?
Yeah, fair.
And because more clients may not be what an individual is really looking for. They're looking for fewer clients, or at least less effort in getting them. And again, the answer is still the same. It's still niching, right? Like niching, knowing your niche, getting after your niche is going to get you more profit because of your pricing power. It's going to get you easier clients because they're going to have more trust in your credibility as what it is they're looking for. and revenue comes along with all that, and possibly fewer clients along the way, depending on, just how much you want to grow and scale.
Right.
So,
Everybody talks about niching, but doesn't really talk about the how much it can impact your company, whether you're a therapist or an accounting firm.
you've got two perspectives on that, both of which are right. The one perspective says you don't need to niche. You can go out and get business, and they're right. You can. You don't have to have a niche to get new clients, and you can have a diverse range of clients in your practice and be totally happy. And there's another perspective that says niching opens up a lot of doors for you that otherwise are closed, like higher prices, better profits, less time spent getting new clients. They're both right. But I think for what we do, for what we're trying to create for our listeners and our group, is the firm of their dreams, right? The type of firm that they want to have. And the problem with the generalist and not niching is they're not able to reach some of those pricing heights or profits because they're not seen as an expert of anything. This is Doug, and sorry to interrupt this episode of the Practicing Accountant podcast, but wanted to put out a reminder there about our membership at the Practicing Accountant. We'd love to have you join us for group coaching and some training. You can learn more at www.thepracticingaccountant.com. Now back to your episode. And, we've used the analogy before, but they're the garage down the street that serves the Audi, the Toyota, and the Subaru versus, the high end, we only work on Audis garage, where they're gonna charge a shit ton more, but you're gonna know that they've got the expertise to take care of your vehicle, and you're not gonna get screwed. Well, hopefully won't get screwed, but you have there's more credibility in that focused expert than there is the generalist down the street.
And when you're a generalist, you're pricing based on competition. When you're a specialist, you are pricing based on value. Mm-hmm. And the ceiling for pricing on value is limitless. The ceiling for pricing based on competition is very limited because it's a race to the bottom.
Well, people like to brag, right? Clients like to brag. They like to say, well, I've got a guy that has an office over there, and he does, I don't really know what else he does, but he does my books. And that's one version. Another version is we've hired the best construction bookkeeper in town, and he does all the big construction clients, and he works with a bunch of people in this industry. And yeah, he's expensive, but he does amazing work. Like, which one of those do you want to be talked about? like the latter one, right? And people like to brag about, how much they pay for high quality service. And it's something they talk about on the golf course, and they bitch about it. Sure. But there's one guy in there that's like, well, I've got a guy who's just a pro at this. He is the best at this. You have to pay a little bit more, but he's great.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be that guy.
Yep. Yeah. If that value is high enough, and if your specialty is tight enough, price will be much less of a concern. It might not even be part of the conversation.
Yeah. Well, another thing that the generalist lacks, they have a lot of clients, each of which, maybe is in different industries, different sizes, different services, different whatevers. And so they're recreating work, for each of their clients differently, and it looks different for each of them, perhaps. And there are some things, maybe the majority of it are the same, but when you're heavily niched, you can create one thing that can serve all of your clients, like a new service or a new report or, a new one-page dashboard that you create for them. Like because you've got that niche and because you've got similarity in clients, you can reproduce things, get more leverage out of products and services because of what you know. You could send a newsletter to one of them that you send to all of them because they're all wanting to know the same thing. So you can market easier to them, support them easier, service them better. But that also allows efficiencies, which create the opportunity to scale and get more clients from. Those efficiencies, because you're able to do things quicker because you're doing the same thing for the clients you love, but you're able to do it quickly and still charge a bunch, but do it in less amount of time. That gives you room for more, not just, profit power,
Right.
but to do more clients without as much work. And the journalist, when they onboard it, each time it could be new, and yeah, they send them to a portal and they just got to upload their but all they, again, they're trying to make everyone happy and try to serve everyone, and it all probably looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
But when you have that niche, it allows you to really create some efficiencies of scale and time and you name it.
Sure. So
You were
back
about to mention training.
Yeah. So training, like we own a bookkeeping company. If you have to train somebody on construction, for example, they start to know the vendors really well. They know these nuanced vendors that only construction companies. If they're in, e-commerce, they're not going to know all the vendors off the top of their head, and so that cross training creates inefficiencies. If you stick to one thing, they're going to be much more efficient. To your point.
The real question first is, what are we saying no to? And which means that we should know what we want to say yes to. Right. So, the real call to action here is to identify either what that ideal client is or what that niche is, and to have confidence in it. And I think you should pick it based on not only what do you like to do, but what makes you the most money. Right?
Fair.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, if you're doing work that's low margin and that's your niche, well, okay, you've just picked an uphill battle. But if you're looking at a niche like, let's say, high income tax preparation or family office or, whatever businesses are really killing it in the market right now. Say an oil and gas or whatever. Like, if you can marry your niche or your interest with what is going to create the highest margins for you, that's a great place to say yes.
Sounds like a Venn diagram.
Yeah, right.
Homework right there. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, I can see it. There's like, okay, which one has the most profit? Which one do I enjoy doing? And which is there an abundance of?
Yeah.
And if I can locate that and focus in on it, then you know what to say no to, because anything that's not that, you shouldn't be saying yes to. And then that directs your marketing, it directs your efforts in branding and blogging and video content, where you're targeting your ads, where you're trying to get your leads, where you're networking, all those things, they get filled in. You know what to do now. And I think that's another benefit of niching is, when you try to advertise as a generalist, and you made this point earlier, I mean, you're competing against everybody.
Yeah.
And the only way that you can compete is probably primarily on price, and then service, of course, is important too, but it still comes back to price, because I mean, you can still get it done on time and give them the stuff that they wanted, but if you're 10% more than someone else who can do it that way, see ya.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't know what conferences you should go to. Like if you are a generalist, you're going to go to the BNI group, where some people have luck, some people don't. But if you have a direction, you can decide where to spend your time, where those people are.
Coincidentally, I found an article today. I should just go ahead and pull that up and see what it says here. There's a step-by-step guide on how to identify your ideal clients. Some of this is going to sound familiar.
Nice.
1, analyze your current client base. I don't need to read anymore. I know what it's going to say. It's going to say, look at your current clients and establish whether you have already niched and just didn't know it, or if you have some tendencies. It might be, I've got a lot of construction, or it might be, I've got a lot of these high income individuals that I really like. The second step is to define your zone. What does that mean? That means, that's just like your services. So what are the services that you want to put out there for whoever you decide to put it out for?
Important.
Yep. Identify patterns. So that's what we just said. Look through your clients and find some patterns. What is it that I'm doing a lot of already? Utilize data and analysis, which just means to me, put a spreadsheet together and look at which ones have the best margins. And then it goes into marketing. It goes attend industry events and conferences, work through referrals and recommendations, craft compelling marketing messages, and continuously refine. So that sounds like this was written by someone in marketing. which is fine. And I love it, but I think it's interesting that they're really focused here on what you're currently doing. But and we've talked, I think part of this conversation about ideal client and niche should be what you want to do. You know, if there's something you're really interested in or passionate about or just really damn good at, you know, that's a great indicator of where you should be focusing your niching in ideal client energy, and also highlights what you should be saying no to, which is anything but.
Yep.
So I think
hopefully there's a place that all those intersect, and you can easily pick that.
Right. Yeah, hopefully. But I like the idea of, you know, analyzing your data, see if there's actually some niches in there, but also bringing in, maybe that's part of the Venn diagram you talked about, like where am I currently at, and what do I currently do? What is it I really want to do? And then what's driving my economic engine? Now I sound like we're talking about the hedgehog, but we kind of are. At the end of the day, I can't remember where the hedgehog is. What drives your economic engine? What are you best in the world at, and what are you passionate about? I think those are the three keys for the hedgehog per Jim Collins.
Not familiar.
Yeah, it's from good to great. From good to great.
Yeah.
So I think it was to kind of wrap this up. You know, saying no doesn't feel like the logical thing to do to grow your practice. But what saying no does is it makes more room available for the right types of clients. It allows you to identify the type of work you really like doing that really brings you the most money. It allows you to get more efficient and effective so that you can do more of that type of client work, which allows you to do more clients. It allows you to charge a higher price for your work as you're seen as a credible expert in an area. And it helps you create, you know, the firm that you're wanting to create with the lifestyle you want to create.
Yep. Awesome, man.
Yeah. So there we go.
Appreciate you.
You too. Cheers.
See ya.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Practicing Accountant Podcast. We hope that you found some new energy in your ability to say no and what it opens up for you. Not only just more clients, but also more pricing power, more profit power, more revenue, and a better experience in your business. Please share and like this episode, and I hope you come back to join us again here at the Practicing Accountant Podcast. Thanks for watching.